So hello everyone. Welcome to our, April 2022 Quantum Money Transmission. Hmm. So today we are going to be diving into the world of alignment, and we're going to talk about working with the frequencies in maybe different ways than you've thought about before to really create a catalyst, a shift in how you experience these frequencies, how to allow them to work more powerfully in your life. And we're also going to dispel potentially some of the, I guess, new age is the best way to call it, new age um, precepts and practices for manifesting that really long term end up not being so great. And really just having a deeper conversation about our alignment and the importance of working on our body, working on ourselves. We want to create sustainable, long term success and a healthy relationship with money. And I felt that after Adam's talk earlier this month, where he really dove into his way of alignment, that it was a great time to have this discussion and go a little bit deeper into some of these energy dynamics. So, before we hop into all of that, let us take a moment and just come into our bodies. If you are seated and you want to drop into stillness for a moment. Maybe it feels supportive to place a hand somewhere on your body. Maybe it feels supportive to shake those hands and to shake that body. Wherever you're at, taking a nice deep breath in, letting out a nice big sigh. And as you breathe in this way, just feeling your power emanating up from your tailbone, up your spine, up into your heart space. And as you exhale, actually let that power go up from your heart and up and out your crown. So we're inhaling up from our tailbone, up into our heart space. We're exhaling from our heart up and out our crown, almost like a waterfall of energy could cascade around you. And then you breathe that energy back up through your root. Like we're cycling our own beautiful life force energy for just a few breaths here. Really feeling yourself as a closed circuit of energy. And what that means is that you are completely self-sustaining, right? You are breathing energy in that you emit out, and you are recharging your body with the energy that you are emitting. And you can keep doing this for a few moments if it feels really good. That being said, if you also feel complete, you can slowly just start to move yourself back into open eyes. Just feel the difference of, you might feel a little electrical right now. You might feel like, like all the little sparkles in your body when we operate in a way where we actually let our energy be resourced, right? Returning to source, circulating that energy back into our body is where our power really relies and resides. So I want to have a little bit of an interactive moment here, just for a few seconds, and talk about, I'd love to hear from you, what laws of attraction practices have you tried? And you can either pop them into the chat or you can unmute yourselves and speak it out loud. And we're going to write it down here. Right. So, a couple of them to fresh your memory here is affirmations. Yep, Antonia. We have vision boards, hypnosis. Right. If anyone has ever done those, how can we call this? Like those lists where you are writing over and over and over and over again a statement of affirmation, and you're doing it like 700 times, just like continually writing over and over and over. What would we call that? Repetitive programming. Some meditation on there, right? Moon rituals. That's a good one, Cody. I think there was another one up there. Intention setting. All right. A couple more here. Ceremonies, choice of words. Let's say word empowerment. All right, this is a good list here. Let me move this a little closer. I think it should be mirrored, so does it come off correct way for you to read it here? Yeah. So I want us to look at this list here for a moment. And let's think about where in our body this activates, right? Where in our body? So affirmations, right? This would be our mental body, right? We're setting an intention. We got that down here too. And then we're repeating that intention over and over again, right? So we have our mind. Intentions as well as our mind. Vision boards, very similar to affirmations, only you're creating the actual picture of, let's say, the house and the car and the outfits and the smiling faces and the words. And we see that vision boards is also going to be, our mental body. Hypnosis. I think this purple is a little hard to see here. It's going dry. Go back to the black. Hypnosis, right? Another mental body, only we're going into different parts of our mental body. Mind. Repetitive programming. Well, that is taking your affirmations and repeating it, writing it down over and over and over and over and over. So we have another one. Mind. Meditation, for the most part, is going to be mental unless you're doing a moving meditation or a walking meditation. If you've ever gone to some Buddhist temples, they do walking meditations where the whole idea is actually to not use your mind at all. And you walk super, super slowly. And you're just trying to get your body to move as slow as you possibly can around a space. That being said, I'm guessing most people aren't doing that. Most people are sitting in stillness, clearing their mind, or they're focusing on their energy, or they're doing, let's say, like a guided meditation where you're going on a journey, or they're, visualizing something. So for the most part, we could say, like, let's say 90-10 is going to be mental body meditation. So we'll give that 10%. Oops, I just wrote 900. 90, 10, mind, body. Moon rituals. Well, I guess it depends on what kind of moon rituals you're doing, how this one will play out. But let's say you're setting up a crystal altar and you're lighting some candles and you're maybe even burning previous lists of, what you want to toss out and let go of. I don't really do a whole lot of moon rituals, so I'm just taking pieces of what I've seen off Instagram. That being said, our moon is linked into our emotional body, our astral body. It's also linked into our mental body. Right. So our moon rituals are going to kind of expand in multiple different directions. I think a lot of them come in from this notion of, if I work with the moon at different periods, I'm going to be able to achieve something, right? So it's a thought that initiates, let me achieve something through using the energy of the moon. However, I think it expands beyond just the mind. So we're going to just leave that one and say it covers a lot of different things. We've talked about intention with mind. Ceremony is similar to moon rituals. It really depends on what kind of ceremony you're doing. But within both of these, moon rituals and ceremony, there's always an intention, something that we want to gain or experience through the ritual and through the ceremony. So mind is involved in both of them. The last one here, let's link up ceremony and moon rituals to mind through intention. Word empowerment, I think that's an obvious one. Mind. So of this list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 laws of attraction, new age ways of manifesting and changing your life, every single one of them works in the mental body. Very few of them may at times work on the emotional body, work on the physical body, but nothing here on this list is just the body, just the somatic body that is being changed, which is interesting considering that our bodies are what's actually living this experience. And there's a few reasons why this is the case. And we're going to go into just a little bit of esoteric anatomy, I guess, for a moment to understand why in this reality that we're in, so many of the things we naturally turn towards for creation, especially in the new age realm, are really utilizing our mind, our mental body, right? So I'm going to go into this because I see everyone who's here and know that you can all hold space for this in your bodies right now. And you've likely seen me share this on Instagram before. This hourglass shape, right? So let's say here we are, and it's going to be a spiral coming down and a spiral coming up. And this is inside of an akasha, which is like a seed of creation, right? The God seed. And here we are on the Ettore side, right? Which is the light side. And up here we have the Idore, which is the sound. And these are twins, right? So these are adjugate twins, right? So they're opposites of each other. And they exist inside of one God seed, which is like an entire multiverse. It could be even larger than a multiverse. It could be entire galaxies of existence inside of this creation. Well, down here where we are in the light, the Ettore side, we are running much more atmic frequency. So atmic, which equals mind. Right. Up here on the sound field, they're running much more etheric. Right? Etheric energy. So that's more of like our celestial energy. Now, why this is so important is because when we're in the density down here, it's much more dense than we have in the sound field. In the sound field, there aren't even physical bodies like we have here, right? Everything is just light and sound. Here we, though, have these illusions of like solid form. So when we're in the Ettore here, we are much more in the mental body. And because of that, we're carrying more density and we're more likely able to be what we call like hijacked or compromised, being in a fall zone, right? Being in a black hole, all these different words of speaking to how the artificial comes in through the mental body to basically reverse the template and pull you down away from your ascension to source, right? So the mind is used as a way of putting what we call memes into what are deep programs, deep psychological programs at a collective level, putting these memes into the mental body. And then those memes are picked up collectively as truth, right? So why this is all important, why we're having this discussion today, is because we look at this list of what is primarily being sold to the masses for creating your life, right? Creating change in your life, creating miracles, and also being sold in a way of like, more of our magical essence, right? Our ability to have the life that we truly desire is being ultimately sold to us through the lens of the mind. We know that the mental body is much more able to be manipulated, controlled through MEME, just like those memes, only these ones are deep, deep programs in our actual mental body. We call it meme warfare. Right? So I have taken the time, and there are people who actively, only promote the affirmations and the law of attraction. And something that I've done for fun is to read a lot of the comments about, what people are experiencing, and reading also the comments of people who are, we'll say, recovering new age addicts, right? They are recovering from the addiction to the new age. And there's a lot of that happening right now where people are waking up and realizing, like, holy shit, I was just sold another lie. I was just sold another way of being controlled and manipulated and dominated and giving away my free will and basically being fed off of these energies, right? So why we're bringing this up is because when I go and look at these things, it'll be like, man, this is working. And then it just stops working, right? Oh yeah, I experience all these great things. And then it stops working, right? There's this continual, it stops working that happens for a great deal of people when they're working with some of these practices. Now, there are even, more twisted ways that this is played out where people have actually had really horrible things happen to them, especially when they start playing around with moon rituals and ceremony involving things that maybe they weren't ready for, right? Things that they weren't actually ready to ingest or take in or work with or cultivate. And, I have just seen way too many people really suffering as a result of working with things that they were not ready for, right? So all of these things aren't bad and wrong, right? That's not what we're saying here. A lot of these things are really incredible and transformative, right? I've regularly done hypnosis only with someone that I highly, highly, highly trust at like a deep, deep level, though. And there's only one woman that will put me under hypnosis on this planet currently. And she will only ever do it in my physical home either, right? I won't even do it like out in the world. That being said, what we're really trying to say here is that a lot of these things can be influenced because they're working with the mental body. They can be influenced by the technology. They can be influenced by the thoughts of other people. They can be influenced by the programs that someone else is wanting you to take in. And they're only creating change for you in the filter of your mental body. A lot of our deep core, let's say, dissonance with money, with our power, with receiving more energy, none of that is actually stored in the mental body. all of that is actually stored in our physical body, right? When we talk about trauma, trauma imprints in our body, and if you have read the book, The Body Keeps the Score, right? So our mind makes a story about the trauma. That being said, our body physically holds that trauma, imprints it and patterns it neurologically in our RAS, our reticulating activating system, that creates a filter to basically look out for something that could be similar to that trauma again and protect us from it, right? Let's say it was here's a great example. Let's say you got involved in cryptocurrency years ago, and you got involved from someone who was like really excited, and you just put your money in, you didn't know what you were doing, and you ended up losing like a significant amount of money to you at the time. And the reticulating activating system then creates a program and says, crypto is bad. Stay away from crypto. So what that then does is your RAS is so powerful. It literally is wanting to create for you anything and everything that you deem desirable, and also to keep you safe from everything you have deemed undesirable, traumatic, right? So that program that goes in and says crypto is bad is now going to only look into the environment and find validation of crypto being bad. So you're only going to find crypto scams. You're only going to hear stories about people losing money in crypto. You're only going to see the bad news about it. The RAS will literally filter out anyone that is succeeding in crypto, all the amazing things that are happening in crypto, all of the opportunity that's there, all of the ways to learn. It will filter it out because that program says crypto is bad. So it won't let you see anything counter to that program because, like I said, this program in your pons, right, in your reticulating activating system of your brain, this is in your body, has decided crypto is bad, and therefore I'm only going to show you evidence of that truth so that that continues to be the reality that you're living, right? It's validating our reality, right? A simpler, like mundane example of this that I like to give would be if you were attacked by a dog when you were a child and you learned dogs are bad, right? Dogs are dangerous. Stay away from dogs. Then as you grow up and go through life, you're only going to come into contact with vicious dogs, dogs that bark, or dogs that, they might not be vicious, but some dogs get really excited and it can be like, feel like an intense amount of energy coming at you. And, we've had children like steer away from our little 4-pound chihuahuas that are like just so excited, because they're afraid of dogs. So it doesn't matter what the size is, doesn't matter what it is. They will only see a reaction from a dog that is dangerous because that is how their body has been programmed to see it. So when we start talking about some of our deeper stories with money, right, and start to talk about the experiences that we've been having with money, right, we can try to change them on the mental body level, but those stories are stored in our body. They are programmed into our brain. The brain then hardwires them into our nervous system, and then they get patterned in our spine. And our posture changes. Tension comes into different parts of our body. Different organs physically hold those stories. And until we actually address the body and where the stuff is stored, these will only work temporarily, right? And the cycle will continue to go of needing to actually do this. And we want to get to a point where, hey, we don't want to spend the next, rest of our lives sitting there writing 700 times, like, I create a new car, I create a new car, I create a new car, right? Like, how exhausting would that be? Right? It's not an effective way of actually creating because we're having to use some type of loophole. All these are loopholes that work around the body, right? It's saying, and it's also creating a disconnect and a distrust, a deeper distrust with our body's ability to create. And there's going to be a limitation on this that I've seen a lot of people have when they don't implement the body as well, right? Because what will happen is say they're working with their vision board and they start creating some of the things with their vision board and their affirmations. And then what starts coming in is actually too much energy for their body to hold. And then their body's programs for, I can't hold this much energy, come online and start pushing it away. And the vision board stops working. The affirmations stop working. Because there's deeper programs in the body that says it's not safe to hold this much energy. Because everything that we're bringing in, money, opportunities, material possessions, all of that is energy that we have to hold in our body, right? Because we're actually just like little dots in a matrix having an experience of energy moving in and out of itself. It just looks like we're humans with computers and cars and dogs and desks and all the things. And money is a really great example of that, because we don't even physically need to have cash on us anymore to have money in our bank, to have money in our investment portfolio, to be able to go to a store with like not even a card anymore. You can just take your phone and go boop, and now I've just paid for something. Right? But that energy is being stored of that money in your body. So this also speaks to plateaus in our ability to create more money than we've ever experienced before, where that looks like the bank always rests at a certain dollar amount. And it's like, I can't get my savings account to push past $30,000, or I can't get my savings account to push past $1,000, right? That's actually the majority of people. I was reading an article that 70 something percent of people would not have $1,000 if they had an emergency where they needed $1,000. Like, that is really scary for humanity to recognize how disconnected from our physical reality people truly are, right? Because money is the representation of how much energy we're able to hold in our body, right? So if we have the majority of people who aren't able to hold $1,000 in their body, that's a very small amount of energy. It might feel right now like a lot of energy to some of us, but it's really not. It's a very small amount of energy. If you actually just sat down and calculated all the things that you could buy with $1,000, it's not a whole lot, especially not with inflation, especially not in this current climate that we're in right now, where prices are going up, the value is going down, and people are really struggling, right? But what ends up happening is that belief in their body that says, I can't hold the energy, the responsibility, because it's also a responsibility. That energy is a responsibility. When your team, and I mean by team, your celestial guardians, right? Your higher self, your soul family, your ancestors, all the beings that are working with you in the non-physical space, that's your team. So whenever I talk about your team, like, I'm talking not about like your business partners. I'm talking about like your real team that are here supporting you at all time. Your team is not going to give you more than you can hold. And your team is also going to, and a part of your team is actually you, your higher self is your like boss of your team. And your higher self is even going to stop you from giving yourself more than you can hold. So if the body is saying, I can't hold $1,000, or I can't hold 10,000 or 20 or 50 or 100 or a million, whatever it is, wherever the story is the same at every dollar amount. Can I hold this much energy? Can I be responsible to receive this much energy and then to adequately use it for the benevolent good of all? Right? If this much energy is going to course through my body, am I going to shut down and freeze? Am I going to fall into inaction? Am I going to hoard? Am I going to hoard that energy and say, I'm not giving it out to anyone. I will not spend this energy. This is mine. Right? Or will I take that energy in and realize, wow, I'm now responsible to actually circulate this energy out to other people who have incredible visions that I'm here to fund through hiring them to be on my team, or through paying them for a program that I don't even actually want to do, but I believe in them and I want to give them energy so that their mission can follow through. Or where I circulate money to the local farmers instead of to China, or instead of to even California on the other side of the coast, right? Where a lot of things have to happen to basically take down the farmers around us, because I'm taking my energy and I'm pushing it out of the community, right? Because we also receive more when we're community focused, when we're focused on our team's team on earth, right? The people that are here, all of us together, we're on a team, right? We wouldn't be working together in such an intimate space if we weren't some way, somehow connected in our bigger bodies, right? So we're also here. Y'all are supporting me. I'm supporting you. We're supporting each other. We're on the same team, right? So when we start to think about then the responsibility to actually hold more, well, we go into our body and our body goes back to memories where, maybe there was a big spelling bee, right? Or something else in school where you had a responsibility, where you were the team lead, and maybe you got sick, or you choked, or you didn't show up, or you perceived to have failed the team. You lost whatever it was. In that moment, your body said, oh, I better not take on this kind of responsibility again, because I failed. The belief that I failed, and the people around, maybe the other team members thought you failed. Maybe they were upset. Maybe the parents that were involved didn't know what to do other than to say, hey, it's going to get better, right? Instead of actually walking you through like the process of what happened and helping you become self-aware about the experience, right? The, just soothing energy is really nice at times, but it doesn't help us to become more self-aware about the choices that we've made and how we are responsible for those choices, and how we could actually make a different choice next time in the same situation and not end up failing or perceiving ourselves to have failed. Right? Learning from our mistakes, learning from the obstacles, so that we don't take these experiences that happen to us and put a ball around them that says, I can't hold that kind of responsibility again. And it's not that I can't, it's that I actually don't want to, because the feeling of failure sucks in my body and I don't want to feel that again. So then that program, unconsciously working through the body, is actively pushing away all of the money that spirit is trying to give you. It is working in overdrive to push it away. Right? Like when we say we're infinitely provided for, like that is not just a beautiful idea. Anyone who's ever been really sick or disabled in any way where you literally could not work and you had to have spirit show up for you, or something else happened in your life where, shit was on the line and you needed the resources, and the money always shows up because we are infinitely provided for. And it's in those moments where we are so desperate ultimately, because we have, maybe we're sick, or we are going to be evicted, or whatever the story is that we had to create for ourselves to finally let our walls break down and let spirit give us the resources that have been sitting there the whole time. We've just been having a wall to them. Right? So let me just drop into my time here. Okay, cool. So what we get to do with the frequencies, right, is all of the frequencies are working on our body. They're working on the biophysics of our body, right? So they're working on the energy that creates our body. They're also working on our mental body as well, and our emotional body. They're working on all of our bodies simultaneously, which is what makes them any type of frequency medicine, whether it is working with these frequencies for money, but we also add in frequencies for our body every week. We add in anything that is red or anything that is blue, saying, hey, right now, our bodies collectively, our team right now needs support with maybe digestion or maybe clarity or maybe stress or maybe sleep or whatever it is that's coming up as important. And you run those frequencies as well, because why not? Right? It's there, it's available. Why not have more support for our bodies? That's my belief right now. Why not give our bodies everything that we could possibly need? Because when we actually do that, abundance, prosperity, good fortune is a natural byproduct of people who care really deeply about their bodies. Right? And who recognize that all of this is amazing and you can do this and have this. And, I'd maybe be a little bit wise about your moon rituals and your ceremonies, really be sure that you know what you're doing. That being said, like, affirmations are really great. And there is a really powerful practice that I've seen many people resist because of affirmations. And that practice is, I am my fear. Right? I am my fear that I'm going to die. I am my fear that I'll never have enough money to provide for myself. And they're like, well, I don't want to affirm that. I don't want to affirm I am the fear. Affirmations are this notion of, I'm actually not this yet and I want to create it. So I'm just going to say it over and over again until I believe myself to become it. Right? But actually, my body is not that yet. But currently, my body is afraid of something. Right? Whatever is actually true, that part, when we do affirmations for things that we are not yet, we push the things that we are deeper inside of our body. And we push our mental body further away from our body. And it creates a really big gap and disconnect, which is why when we only do the mental practices long term, it can actually end up creating chaos in someone's life. Their body shut down, right? The biggest chaos that our body creates when we're not listening to it is disease, right? And disease sucks, right? It sucks. I'll say it. I've experienced it. It does not feel good. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable to be in a state of total chaos and disease in the body, right? It sucks. We can all agree. And we created it because we weren't connected to our bodies, listening to our bodies at whatever period of time, and it eventually catches up to us. And we can try to say, oh, it's never going to catch up to me. I'm invincible. I can do all the things to my body, but it always catches up. Right? The body will always catch up with itself, and it will eventually, whenever it feels safe enough, it will break down. If it has something, a foundation that it's been built on that is shaky. Right? And that's not to alarm us. That's actually to empower us to be more responsible for our bodies, because the more responsible we become for our bodies, the more energy we can hold in our bodies in the form of money, opportunities, new clients. Right? When you take on a new client, you actually have to hold their energy in your body as well, especially the more intimate the deal is, right? If it's a deal where you're having to have calls with them every week and you're having to email or text them daily, and let's say, some of you are in sales positions and you're making a huge sale, right? And that sale is, a significant amount of money for that company, right? You're now holding the energy of them, holding the energy of that large amount of money for them. So you're now responsible for holding your energy to hold that deal and their energy to actually give you that money for that deal. It's a lot of energy to hold. Right? So the more we actually prepare our bodies, the more our bodies can feel safe to hold that energy. Right? So what I want to share with you is a few different ways to actually work with the frequencies. To work with the frequencies, it's beautiful to work with them while you're meditating or while you're visioning or while you're, working, having them in the background while you're working. But I actually want to invite you to play with, for the rest of the month, working with the frequencies in your movement practices. Right? Working with the frequencies while you're getting into your body. right? When you're angry, put on the frequencies and move that energy through your body, right? When you're excited and you're joyful, put on the frequencies and move that energy through your body, right? Because the way the frequencies work, we hear a fraction of what's actually encoded in the sound field of that frequency replay, right? So our ears are only capable of hearing a small percentage of what's actually embedded into those frequencies. So when we listen to them, we can have very clear intentions, right? We can bring our mental body in. We can have a very clear intention. Let's say I want to, process this fear that I'm having around uh, creating a savings account, because then that money won't be available to me if I put it into a savings account. I won't be able to touch that money. What if I need that money, right? Investment consciousness is one of the most important things I feel every human needs to shift into, where they're investing in themselves, because it's the opposite of debt consciousness. And debt consciousness is what the mimetic virus, the mimetic warfare of the artificial reality wants everyone to be invested into. And if you watched my quantum money transmission, I believe it was last month, we really talked about the artificial nature of our financial system. It's not real. Right? Fiat currency isn't real. It's built on debt. It's built on people going deeper into debt, and it links people into debt. Right? Every single person born in the United States is currently $500,000 in debt at the moment they're born. Right? That's insane. And if you don't know how to take yourself out of the tax equation legally, which I believe February was the month where our team from Frontier Capital Trust came in and talked about that, then you're going to actually pay that debt off in your life. Right? You will pay off that, or try to pay off that $500,000 of debt. And it only accrues every year as the government goes more into debt. Right? So really understanding that dynamic, right, to shift into investment consciousness is also shifting into being able to invest in our bodies. Okay? In a lot of things that people do, at least this is how I've observed, people are typically much more readily able or willing to invest tens of thousands of dollars if it's going to make more money, right? If it's like for their business, right? Or sales, marketing, all the things that could potentially make them more money. But if you said, invest that same 10 grand in your body, no, I'm not sure about that. I need that money to invest in more things that are going to make me money. Right? It's like, how many people, all these multi-million dollar business coaches that are selling ways to make more money, and people are swarming to that reality, not realizing that eventually not caring for your body is going to show up and catch up. And that if you actually put that money into your body, you would experience the windfalls of abundance way faster, way easier. Right? I've learned that. That was the greatest lesson that 2021 and 2020 brought me. Right? 2020, I was in a really difficult physiological state in the beginning stages of my walk-in process. And we weren't actually sure I was going to live through this process, right? There was countless moments where I was sitting and literally analyzing whether or not I should let the body go and leave, because I was going to have to commit to a healing of this body that was going to take all of my resources, all of my time, all of my energy, and all of my focus and my partner's focus. And it was going to be very expensive. And it was going to be very time consuming. And, I sat down in my mental body and I made a pro con list, right? What are the pros of leaving now at, I was 30, 31, like what would be the benefits? There was a lot of them. Not being on earth right now, not such a bad idea. Love it here, and super challenging to be alive right now. Right. However, all the pros obviously outweighed the cons because I'm here. and I'm in a very different body than I was in 2 years ago. But by 2020, I was still working really hard, still actively selling, still doing one-on-one coaching and group coaching and having in-person experiences and doing all of this where literally I was like having a call and then I was going and laying in bed for the next 24 hours because I couldn't move after that call, because that 1 hour was now cost me 24, right? So I gave an hour, it cost me 24. By 2021, I could not do that anymore. Right? I couldn't do it. There was no way I was going to actually live and keep working that way. And it became very clear that I had to stop working completely and put everything into the final stages of healing. And I did, right? And through that year, all of the money that I would have invested in, I actually did. I put $25,000 into a business coach at the beginning of 2021 and then called her and was like, hey, I can't actually do this. I need to take off work this year. So you can keep the money and like, hopefully you'll let me back in at some point, but I can't do this right now. Right. But I also am not going to be afraid that I just gave this energy out, because this woman right now is holding me coming back to work someday. Because that was something I was committed to. I was like, man, I'll take off for as long as I need, but I really love my work. Like I love this stuff so much. This gives me meaning. And to not be able to do this would be, really shitty for me personally. To not be able to support and use all of the resources to help change the planet would not be fun for me to be here. Right. So I saw that large sum of money as her holding this vision for me. Right. And I still haven't. I'm actually just now going to go back and start working for her because I just finally got the approval to actually do more full-time work. I've still only been working part-time with you all, right? This whole 4 year or since September of last year, right? Even though I feel really great, the idea was let's not push it. Let's not overdo it. And I also didn't need to, because that period of putting all of my energy into my body made it so that when I did come back to work, everything exploded. Right? I thought, oh, I'm going to be offline for 9 months. Like no one's going to even know that I exist anymore when I come back online. Right? How am I going to launch programs if I'm so below the algorithm, if I haven't had a single thing on my page in 9 months? Like what's going to happen? All the stories of the mental body. Right? When my body was just like, we're here to serve, we're here to support, we are here to do it, we are here to hold more energy, we are here to hold more frequency, and now we actually physically can. So here's more. And in the first 3 months, I made what I made the entire previous year. Right? And it wasn't from working really hard. I was still laid out on my couch most of the day. But because I actually knew how to do that, and I felt like this is actually just where I succeed, is when I'm relaxed, when I'm deeply at peace, when I'm just chilling, when I'm not stressed about needing to put something out, because I know that I'm here to support people and those people are going to come in and I'm going to give my all to them. I over deliver in everything I do. I was just sharing this inside 13D. I'm like, y'all are going to get so much stuff that you don't even need to do all of it. You just need to do what you came here to do, because I'm going to give you everyone enough for everyone to have what they need. Right. So really the lesson was like, how, if I just let go of everything else and care so deeply about my body coming fully online and being able to hold my true vision, right? If my body can actually hold my mission, then I don't have to do and try and force and press and like try all these different strategies. Like I actually just need to come more into my body, let my body really feel its power, feel confident in its ability to hold more energy. Then it's open. It's open to receive more people. It's open to receive more money. It's open to receive more opportunities. It's open to receive more of all the things that is mine to create and share. Right? We all have something that is ours to create and share. Right? So that is why for me now, and also like I was running the frequencies. The only thing I did last year was run the frequencies, right? We had our alumni QMM. Some of you are in that, have been with me since the beginning of QMM. We ran the frequencies. Alex would host the weekly call, or my previous assistant would hold the weekly call sometimes when I couldn't be on that call. But every day we ran those frequencies, and I worked with those frequencies in this way, where I took them into my body and I worked through where I would feel. Let's say I'd be laying there and I'd be worried about, I have another very expensive specialist I need to now pay. And I have savings, I have investments, but I also don't want to be taking money out of those spaces, right? Because I don't want to shift back into debt consciousness. I want to stay in this abundant investment consciousness that even gave me the safety to say, I'm not going to work for a while, right? That's why I also love sharing crypto with people, because crypto created that safety for me, right? Because it can be a way for people to be free from whatever it is that they're doing that makes their body feel sick, so that they can figure out whether or not they actually want to keep doing that. For me, it was a full fuck yes, I love this work. And it's actually shaped it into more, I feel, what's more powerful. It's more powerful. The work that I'm here offering now is way more powerful than it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when this body began doing this work, right? Because it has actually taken the information into my body, right? And let my body be transformed by it, so that your bodies can be because you feel it, right? You feel it in my body. We get to feel it holding it together when we're together. And you're like, wow, I get to hold that too, right? I get to hold joy too, right? I get to hold abundance too. I get to hold laying on my bed all day long if I want to, and having money come into my account, right? I get to hold that. I don't have to burn myself out to exist, because Ahamna doesn't. And she lets me see it's possible, right? And you let me see something about your life that's possible that maybe I'm not experiencing, right? So really work with the frequencies this month in a new way through your body. So take them in and let them actually move you. And what I would say is, for those of you who are going to be on the Tuesday call, let today be your first practice of that experience, right? Wear your headphones, and when the frequencies come on, like first just drop into your body, standing or sitting, and feeling where energy is either excited and really amplified, or maybe areas where it's actually painful and stuck and stagnant, right? And feel, how can I actually take the energy, the frequencies into that part of my body? Because that part of my body is what is alive right now to be processed. And I want to take that frequency and I want to actually start moving my body with the frequencies to work through what that is. And you'll likely realize, whether either right away or in time, that your body starts communicating to you exactly why that area is stuck, what belief is there, what story is there, what trauma might be there, what pain might be there. And your role is to not sit and like analyze it. The body has just given you the information. You don't need to analyze it. It just told you this is what it is, right? Your role then is to actually just let your body play it out, right? Play out the energy. So if the energy is despair, how does despair move in the body? How does it need to express in the body through the voice, through the how do we actually emote despair? How do we actually emote anger? How do we actually emote confusion, right? Instead of just sitting in it, how does it actually need to move and sound, whilst the frequencies can help support us work through that energy, right? Because there is if it's coming up while you're listening to that frequency, it's because that frequency has been imprinted to work through it. Right? So what I'm sharing with you today is a lightning path, right? Because the frequencies will bring up what needs to be healed. Because if you think about it this way, and we'll be wrapping up here, we're almost at our time. If you think about it this way, what it's working with is the law of entrainment. The frequencies are working on the laws of entrainment, which means that when two energies come into vibrational come into vibrational space with each other, the stronger frequency is going to entrain the weaker frequency to it. Right? So when we continually play the quantum money frequencies for you every day in your field, at first it might not be the stronger frequency, this belief about whatever in your past, or this if it's one of the ancestral frequencies and it's been in your family line for a really long time, like that's most likely going to be the stronger frequency at first. But when you stick to it and you keep getting the frequency every day, and that frequency comes into your space, into your field every day, it becomes a stronger frequency. And eventually there becomes a tipping point where what was the stronger frequency, that fear or that story or that belief or that pain, that trauma, that starts to become the weaker frequency, and it starts to entrain to this higher frequency that is in the quantum technology that says, I'm abundant. It's safe for me to make more money than my family, right? I am free to experience money in all the ways that I'm here to experience money, right? All the different things that are in those frequencies, right? It eventually becomes a stronger frequency. And we can let that happen over a period of time where we just receive the frequencies, right? You receive the frequencies every day, even though we only have frequency calls twice a month, you receive the frequencies every day through the session being run live for you every day. That being said, that will help, that will work. And there'll be a period where it seems like it's not working because all these struggles have to come up because they're inside and they're fighting to be the stronger frequency. They're fighting with the higher frequencies coming through that are wanting to rewire those stories, and they're fighting off like who's going to be the stronger frequency. And what they do is they push themselves to the forefront of your energy body to become stronger in your field, so that when the new frequencies come in, they're more present. And as they push themselves to the front of your energy body, they manifest in your life again. It's like, why is this like difficult thing manifesting again? Well, it's because the frequency battle is happening for you. And at some point that it's going to tip and overriding frequencies are going to come in, and that story is no longer going to manifest for you. So that's one way that you can totally, absolutely receive the frequencies. And some of us might need to be in that period where we are, brought through a challenge again to build resiliency, to build strength, to build courage, to build whatever it is that we need to build in order to hold more energy in the future. And what I'm sharing with you now is that there's also a different way, a faster way of getting through that period, right? Where the frequencies are kind of battling out to see which one is going to be the stronger. If you stick with the frequencies over time, the quantum money frequencies will be the stronger one because they'll be in your field continuously, daily, monthly, yearly, however long it needs to be, right? So if you actually take the frequencies in, listen to them at home, whilst you actually let the emotions that come up, the feelings that come up in your body be processed out, be worked out, you will experience a very quick shift, usually within a session of the frequencies, where that pattern, that stronger frequency that was in your field is no longer the stronger frequency in your field, and it quickly entrains to the higher frequency that's saying it's safe for me to hold more money, or I am valuable, or whatever affirmation you're currently working with, because there's a lot of them that come into the field, right? So let me know in the comments if this makes sense to you, or if you want me to go over what that practice is a little bit more before we hop off. Yes, yes. Okay, amazing. If anyone is a no, let me know because I'm happy to go through it a little bit as well. And on the next two frequency calls, so today, Tuesday's call, and then next Monday, I will remind us of this talk and remind us to actually go into this practice of being in our body so that we can have a live experience of it together and take it into our weeks as we go through the frequencies, right? And also, it might not be about money, right? What comes up might not be about money. And trust that, right? If that does happen where you are in it and you're receiving the frequencies and something else comes up, something about maybe your health or maybe, a relationship or maybe something else, like work through that, work through whatever comes up because it is all connected. We are one unified whole as we've experienced circulating our energy, right? We are a unified whole. So whatever is coming up in that moment is coming up because it's ready to be entrained to a higher frequency. And it just needs a little support getting to the surface faster by actually activating that energy inside of our body and working through it in our bodies. And once we really bring our body practice in, all of this will work so much better, right? All of this will be so much more efficient and effective. If you want to keep doing your vision board and you're working it through your body at the same time, like your vision board is going to be more effective, right? All of this begins to work more efficiently when our body is brought into the picture. Can a period of outflow of money, not much inflow, be a part of this process? So that is something, that is a story that is stored in a part of our body, right? When I know you're going to be in Safe with Money, so that masterclass next week, we're really going to be diving into like what different organs, stories, and how they manifest in our financial resources, right? How they manifest as these different experiences, like either more money going out than money coming in. That's actually stored in a specific organ in your body. And that's exactly where in your somatic body, you have to clear it to stop creating that story. And we're going to go through all of those meridians on that Safe with Money call and how they show up. So absolutely, it is a part of the process, right? There is in your body, and you can start processing that out today if you're doing today's frequency session or at home with the frequencies. Like start letting that come up and seeing where that is in your body, because that is stored in your body somewhere, and it can be worked through your body, right? So I encourage everyone to bring it all into your body, because your body is ultimately what's going to hold the energy of the money. Your mental body is not going to. It can try. We have assigned a lot of tasks to our mental body that it's actually not qualified or capable of doing. Right? Our mind is here to help us analyze, to help us imagine, to help us assess, to help us contemplate. It's not actually designed to make decisions, and it's not actually designed to hold energy. Right? It's meant to have energy coming in and out, 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 because it's meant to be in that fluid space of, creativity ultimately. What are your thoughts on other people that receive lots of money or maybe inherited a lot of money or aren't using it for the greater good or have good intentions? How does their body hold that frequency and energy? Yeah. So, we can see someone is about to inherit money in their astrological charts, right? There is a huge influx when there is a lot of ninth house energy in someone's astrological chart. They are going to be more likely to either inherit money through a death in the family, or like my brother, he got in a car accident and he got a multiple six-figure settlement from that car accident. He has a ton of ninth house energy in his chart, and it was like really activated at the moment of his car accident. He didn't want to hear that from me because he was like, I don't blah blah blah, I don't want to know that this whole destiny thing is working out. He's an atheist and very opposite of me in that way. That being said, I was like, well, it's here in your chart, right? So when the reason I'm bringing that up is because it's a part of their destiny to receive that money, right? And it is often because On the other side of the spectrum, we have the second house, which is where we learn how to create, or excuse, yeah, the second house, where we learn how, I meant to say eighth house. So second and eighth, we're talking about, not the ninth house. The eighth house is where the energy comes through to receive inheritance and things like that. So the opposite of that, the second house, is where we actively learn how to create. We learn how to create wealth for ourselves. We learn how to manage money. We have to learn how to do these things. We exert our energy. And the eighth house is about learning how to actually receive. So the lesson in this moment is actually learning how to receive money from other people. And it is a part of their bigger karma to actually learn how to receive now. Does that mean that they're actually ready to receive that money? Right? In a bigger sense, yes, they are ready to receive it because they created it that way, to receive that money. And they likely created it that way so that they could have, because they have karma with it that they need to process. So it might not be as smooth and effortless for them. It might not even appear to us that they are maybe worthy of that because of how their identity is showing up with it. But we have to recognize that that's actually why they received the money, so that they could have these trials and tribulations with it to eventually, hopefully, learn how to be a gracious steward of money. Now, does that always happen? No. A lot of times the meme warfare wins, especially because we are in a system where a lot of people are operating through the artificial matrix. And that artificial matrix of money is debt. And what does debt mean? In order for me to have more, you need to have less. Okay? So for me to have more, that means you need to have less, because there's not enough for us all to have a lot. So if they're running those stories and if they're hooked still into that artificial matrix, people can create money through black magic. Right? They can create money through means that a lot of us would not feel resonant with, at least not in this lifetime. Right? Because they're in our field, though, at some point in some lifetime, we have had resonance with that, which is why it's showing up in our field. And our responsibility in this lifetime is to have compassion. Right? So I like to speak to one lens of the energy, because I feel that everyone that's in this space, you actually cannot, at a higher soul level, make money through artificial means anymore. Right? Once you get to a certain evolutionary point, you can't backpedal and go into the, like, I'm going to manipulate people and I'm going to, like, use black magic. And, once you get past that second initiation, you can spiral back once, but once you really start to get towards it, your soul just has so much quantum in your physical identity body. It's not going to let you use a lot of the means that people have been using for a very long time on this planet to create a lot of money. Right? Sometimes it won't even let you use some of the, like, sex magic things that people are doing in a spiritual way, which are still actually using the distorted energies of our sexual body to create that energy. Right? So there's so many different ways and layers to look at it. And for most of us, it's going to not be possible for us to create abundance from any way that's not deeply in integrity with our soul, which is why we're here doing this work and learning how to actually heal these stories. But that is not true for everyone on the planet. So absolutely, holding that frequency and holding that energy is going to impact their body. Right? And that will likely show up in a myriad of ways. Like, one person that I know, who I actually know a couple of people who received large sums of money. One person that I went to high school with, he received, billions of dollars inheritance. And he is so distrustful of people. So distrustful of people. He has no trust for other people. He always believes that people are in his life to take his money. And that has created a very hard shell around this person. And that shows up in stress, that shows up in anxiety, he's my age. I went to school with him. So he's, 34 at this time. And at this point, it's like that stress and anxiety is going to show up. What does it evolve into if it doesn't eventually get resolved? Right? This evolves into cancers. This evolves into heart disease. This evolves into heart attacks. This evolves into all different types of things. Right? And I have another friend who inherited a lot of money from his parents as well. And he went to drugs to cope with that energy. So for him to be able to hold that energy, he took a lot of cocaine, right? Because cocaine created this heightened energy and this ability for him to actually hold that energy. But he was like all over the place trying to hold that energy, right? And I am, I don't like to judge or anything. So I show up for these people either way. Right. If you need to do cocaine to hold this energy, that's cool. And I'm going to like say, hey, maybe you should go get a green juice, or maybe you should try an Apollo Neuro, or maybe you should go do network spinal care, right? Drop the hints. It's all you can do. That being said, we can look at their lives and see how they're actually trying to hold that energy, right? And how it usually shows up in their body in some way, shape, or form, or in their addictions. That these energies, these addictive energies, they can actually help us hold energy. They can actually help us hold frequency. Do I feel it's possible to purify, to do sex magic in a clear way? How do we want to answer this question right now? So it's really important to recognize that you can, but it is the other person involved, right? The Aurora, the Sacred Sexuality manuals in 13D in the Kaleic Science folder. That's going to be a really great place to dive deep into the mechanics of that. That being said, like, there is so much sexual distortion of the Kundalini energy flows on the planet right now because they have been reversed. Right? They have been reversed and they have been flipped. So there is a lot of distorted energy that is, sorry, those are all my alarms saying, hey, QMM in a few minutes or 30 minutes. Yeah. There is a lot of distorted energy that are running through those flows. And then we also, start those energies in the realm of our roots where we hold our deepest primal fears and ancestral karma and baggage as well. So in order to actually get to a place where we have become pure to run that energy would actually mean that we no longer even need to run that energy to create. We wouldn't need the sex magic anymore. If we got to a space that we were clear of all that, we wouldn't need it anymore because life would be creating itself so effortlessly and easily for us. Okay, so it's kind of like, sure, you can. And once you did, you wouldn't need it anymore. Right? Because ultimately what it's utilizing is it's wanting to utilize a strong amount of energy running through your fields because we have been disconnected from our Christic template. Because I don't have anything between now and QMM, so I'm just going to keep going. If people have to jump off, that's cool too. I won't be offended. But I'm just going to talk about it for a moment because I know everyone here is available for it. So let me see if I have a drawing of this somewhere already. I do on my computer. So because we are in this, fall system here, where's the Cathara? Spiral. Normally I have some on my computer, but let's see about this one. This will be good for now. All right. So we have the Cathara grid, right? And the crystal spiral, right? So on each of these, there are centers, right? So if we were looking at the actual grid, you would see circular centers, right? At all these major points, creating 13 And then you'd have, or excuse me, yeah, you'd have 12, and then you'd have 3 points that create 15 total. Now, in our fall zone, we have removed, I believe, 8. We've removed the 8th and I want to say the 2nd center. There are 2 centers that have been removed to bring us out of our base 12 geometry, which is our Christic geometry, and into the artificial geometry of the base 10. Right. So like our mathematics is all base 10 in this artificial reality because it is the fall in it. And those 2 centers being disconnected means that we are not actually able to bring in source energy. Right. We're not able to bring in that connection to source because that center here that is been removed allows us to connect to source and be resourced, which is why we have death here in this matrix, because we are not receiving the sustenance from source, because this artificial construct has removed these core pieces from our spirit body template, right? So because of that, orgasm energy can help us to artificially create a sense of the energy that we would normally be receiving from source. That power, right? What sex magic is using is the powerful frequency that gets exuded through your body when you orgasm to basically push out the message to the universe and pull in the frequency that you need through a tremendous amount of energy being run through your body. Now, when you actually, let's say you were doing the work to purify, right, these things and to reconnect your spirit body circuitry, which I know you are because you're doing it, we're doing it together, Aurora. Once you actually have that energy flowing, you no longer need your orgasm energy because you are resourced, right? You are now connected back into the source and you are able to tap into that infinite energy supply and run frequency through your body effectively, where you no longer need to create an experience of a powerful energy because you are that powerful energy at all times, right? Where, you know, the way, and this is nothing, you know, nothing against sex magic in any way like that. Like, people want to explore and play with that realm, then by all means go for it, experience what's happening. And it isn't necessary if you are on a certain path where you're actively working to restore your spirit body template and your connection to source, right? And your base 12 mechanics in your body, right? And, you know, this body has been celibate for 2 years and has had the most wildly abundant 2 years during that period of time, because the focus has actually been on the spirit body mechanics restoration and tremendous amounts of energy just flowing through my body at all times, where I get to create what I want that energy to be. So I hope that answers that question. Yes, you can. And once you do, you wouldn't need sex magic anymore. All right, friends. Let's take a moment to just bring all of this information into our bodies and maybe just give our bodies a nice big hug. Maybe just give it some sighs of gratitude for, yeah, just allowing us to experience life through these beautiful bodies. Just take a nice deep breath in and letting out a big sigh. Thanking our bodies, thanking each other. And I will see you all who are joining Tuesday's frequency session in like 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. And for everyone else, I'll see you on Monday. Sending you lots of love, everyone. Bye.